Not fall to the toilet. All right. Since the last stream, I found this video. I didn't find it. It actually hit my algorithm. It hit my algorithm, and it was pretty interesting. I watched some of it and I stopped it and I said, you know what? I'm gonna save it for the stream because I just want to hear y'all thoughts on this shit. I want to hear y'all thoughts. I'm gonna play this. I don't know if I'm gonna play the whole thing. I'm gonna just play like what I heard. And it made me want to present the question to the chat. Should we be worried about Wukong based off of what we heard? Because ever since this game was announced, it's been nothing but hype for it because of the way it looks. It's a game that's clearly pushing the Unreal Engine 5 to its limits. But one of my not a critique, but one thing that I have always said about this game is it does look good. But the one thing we got to pay attention to is this is this studio's first game they've ever made. And this video kind of reminded me. I just want to hear what y'all got to say. I'm gonna let the video rock.
Multiple endings, over 80 bosses, over 160 enemy types.
This video is basically kind of like an aggregator, like a collection of like different news. And there was a lot of stuff that I missed.
No difficulty settings. These are just some of the things that have potentially leaked about the Journey to the West inspired action RPG in Black Myth Wukong. And while the crazy amounts of both bosses and enemy types may seem appealing, if this source turns out to be true, it's also got many fans worried about what may ultimately define this highly anticipated game. If you're looking forward to trying
how long they've been working on this, it got announced like 3 years ago. Like a video, they just uploaded a video to YouTube. Everybody got hyped by it. And then I kept saying on my stream, it's a Chinese-based studio. There's no guarantee it's going to come to the West. And then this past year, they announced it was coming to the West, basically.
Or are interested in maybe checking it out at a later date, consider entering into my Digital Deluxe Edition giveaway where you have a chance to earn the game for free for the platform of your choice. Check out the link in the description to get started. This is the post where ex-user at Ignis the Wise disclosed some key information about some of the contents of Black Myth.
New Game Plus at launch, multiple endings, around 160 enemy types, 80 plus bosses. The game is slightly easier than a Soulsborne game.
Myth Wukong. The post claims that the title will contain a New Game Plus mode at launch, will contain multiple endings, have over 160 enemy types, more than 80 boss fights, and is slightly easier than Soulsborne games. Alright, grains of salt, people. Whenever
shout out to Sauce Man in Tokyo with the subs.
Leaks and so on, don't go putting all your eggs in this unconfirmed basket of information just yet. This insider has accurately reported a number of details about the game, including trailer drops, pre-order details, PC specs, and more before the official news was announced. So while I'll never tell you to go into this post expecting it to reflect the final product, take some grains of salt, but also know that some of this may pan out to be true. We'll only know when the game comes out, but regardless, the information disclosed in this post, namely the 160 plus
Big
enemy
Rex, Russ,
types,
congrats.
80 plus bosses, seem pretty incredible. Those are certainly big numbers, especially for a game that has been said to be a largely very linear and story-based title.
80 bosses is kind of concerning. We're gonna get to that. I'm letting the video rock. Can you drop a link to the video? Yeah, I got you. I'm letting the video rock. That's part of the reason why I'm a little concerned about this. And depending on who you are, you may or may not enjoy that.
And that's really where some fans are a bit worried about this game's direction. With numbers so large in the boss category for being a linear game, some fans think that Black Myth Wukong, the game that has been wowing the internet since its reveal back in 2020, may just end up being a glorified Unreal Engine 5 tech demo of a boss gauntlet. Black Myth Wukong being called a boss gauntlet has been exceedingly common among numerous gaming publications who were able to play the 2-hour demo of the title during Summer Game Fest, where the demo—
Now, this is the part I missed. I missed these articles where basically every person— so apparently there was a playable demo at Summer Games Fest, and pretty much every major publication said it's just a boss rush.
Primarily featured one level, Blackwind Mountain, and a boatload of boss fights. Upwards of 10, in fact. Morgan Park at PCGamer.com.
Which is crazy, by the way. Imagine showing up to Summer Games Fest or like an E3 to preview a game and you just sweating fighting bosses the whole time.
Reported his takeaway of his 2-hour demo playthrough, revealing, among other things, that 1. Boss fights are most of the game, at least so far, and 2. The spaces between bosses are small and not particularly exciting. Over on videogameschronicle.com, author Jordan Midler reported at length that the title was among the most beautiful yet, being a true showcase of what Unreal Engine 5 can pull off, and also praised the game's fast-paced combat and challenging difficulty. Towards the end of the article, he shed some light on the level design he experienced in the demo, which was, according to the developers, a section of the very first area in the game. About the game's level design and boss rush-like format, Midler stated, "The early section we played through was absolutely rammed with boss fights. While an ideal environment..."
It's not a Souls-like game, it's like Souls adjacent. So they said it's not as hard. He literally just said it in the video.
To demo the game and give players a sense of the combat, at times it felt like there were literally 90 seconds between boss encounters. The lack of mindless mobs in between to practice on is a choice we're conflicted about. Just to be clear, while much of the 2-hour-long demo did contain mostly boss fights, there were at least some areas that had players run through areas that did have some enemies to take down and practice their moves with the staff and magic attacks outside of the boss encounters. VG247's article on the game actually discussed a poison swamp the players had to traverse through, complete with the health-chipping poison status ailment, alluding to a potential expansiveness and level design that could be encountered ways into the game. While these areas were quite brief in a demo riddled with plenty of boss fights, and according to the journalists who played it, great boss fights at that, Rock Paper Shotgun's Ed Thorne actually questioned Black Myth Wukong developer Game Science whether or not they would classify their game as a boss rush, and Game Science responded with a resounding no. "So yes, we indeed have a lot of bosses," said Game Science. "What you played is the chapter 1 of this game, and when we designed this chapter, we wanted the players to be able to ease into..."
So then my question is, when you demoed the game to the press, why did you just make them fight bosses only? And also in the footage, when I thought about it, when I seen this video, all the footage really online is fighting bosses. And depending on who you are, if that really is the case and they're lying, let's pretend like it is a boss rush, that's going to be an acquired taste. I feel conflicted about that. And that's why I saved this video for the stream. I wanted to bring it up and see what the chat had to say. I feel like that might be mentally taxing. Because one dude said in his article, in this video, he said it was like 90 seconds between each boss. That sounds kind of fucking annoying to me. I feel like one of the reasons I really like Elden Ring is there's a good amount of time between each boss. You're exploring, learning the lore of the world, talking to NPCs. It sounds like mental exhaustion, like just always on go. And then if I started paying attention to the gameplay in the video and pay attention to it, I knew it was more linear, but it looks super linear. Like there's nothing going on in the environment. And then you got to question, if it is mostly bosses, how creative are those bosses? Of the 80 bosses, how many of them are variations? Are we going to fight a red and then a purple monkey? You see what I'm saying? I'm going to question the creativity. Is it going to be 80 unique bosses or 10 unique bosses and a bunch of just variations and shit like that? So that's why I brought this video up. Just so I'm like, I'm not going to put it in red, but now I do have some questions. I'm like, I don't know.
To the game and get used to the battles. Game Science continued with, "However, this is not final," likely referring to the level that the journalists played, "and we are keeping on making improvements and adjustments based on the feedback we get from you guys, and we will make the cadence better in the future."
Like, I feel like you get a sense of satisfaction in Elden Ring when you beat a boss, and then a new area opens up and you get to explore, find new gear, fight mini bosses, learn lore, story, and then it leads to another boss. There's like a downtime where you get to take things in, and also you get to take in the victory. If it's true what that person said, it was a boss fight every minute in 30 seconds, am I even gonna savor the win? It seems kind of counterproductive to me. Shit seems almost a little too linear.
Purpose of this
comes down to the combat.
Players to experience different.
Yeah, how matter of fact, how deep is the skill tree? Because if there's 80 boss fights and I'm constantly fucking fighting and there's not new tools, that could get boring and repetitive too. Yeah, like, almost like a TikTok style game. We just scroll into fights basically.
Types of bosses at the very beginning, with numerous trailers that have been released for the game depicting incredible diversity in its environments. And
I feel like if I play this game, I'll fight like 2 or 3 bosses. I'll be like, I need a break, bro.
Showcase what takes place outside of these encounters, and that demo from Summer Game Fest and those who played it echo just that. A lot of hyperlinear areas containing incredible detail and vivid.
Yeah, like right here, pay attention to this shit. Like I never really noticed it in the gameplay until he brought it up.
Just that. A lot of hyperlinear.
But a lot of the gameplay is just running down straight lines. And like they're saying it's not, but it kind of looks like a boss rush.
Your areas.
And that doesn't make it bad, but I will say that will make it an acquired taste.
Containing incredible detail and vivid, dramatic landscapes designed to funnel the player.
Like you mean to tell me you made a game about the Monkey King and we ain't doing no type of platforming? He's a fucking monkey. Like, he's a fucking monkey. We should be doing cool ass shit, backflips off of buildings and shit like that. Exploring.
The game's main focal point, the boss encounters.
Like that would be a crazy gameplay design.
Linearity, pointing out that while the game certainly felt like a linear boss rush, that the level in the demo was
like look at the level design, very linear. There's nothing going on once you get, and I think what happened is I think we all got captivated by the visuals because it is pretty, but if you actually look at the layout, there's nothing going on.
In such a way that spoke to this game's unique strengths. Wukong's forests, with their bamboo groves and undulating tracks, felt laid out in a way you'd expect from a real-life walk, lending its relative linearity a strange sort of authenticity. A sense that you were exploring carefully selected portions of space, where the wider world was at once there and just beyond at the same time. Again, I think some of the best video game worlds are those you can't explore. Honestly.
Nah, it didn't ruin my excitement. I'm still excited to play this game day one, but I do feel like after watching this video and learning more info, I'm gonna dial it back and just have no expectation. I had an expectation for game of the year. Now I'm gonna go into it with no expectations like I normally do and just, hope for the best, I guess. I'm somewhere in the middle about it now.
Spaces were a relief, as they kept me motoring towards an endlessly exciting sequence of boss fights. In my previous video covering Black Myth Wukong, we explored the many ways that this title is not a Souls-like, a genre that this game is often...
That's the gist of the video. But that's the gist of the video, like what I watched and what I wanted to put out there. Yeah, that's how I already felt iffy on the details that's coming out about this game. And like I said, that was always the one yellow flag that like I spotted about this game is like it's this studio's first game, and like whether people realize it or not, you can't get too excited about graphics. Experience does matter. So like I'm still gonna get it day one. Don't get it twisted. I'm still gonna get it day one, but I'm gonna lower my expectations for this one. I'm gonna lower because I'm not gonna lie. If it is a boss rush, that might kind of turn me off. I don't want to get on this stream and fight 20 bosses in an hour. I don't. That doesn't. It might sound fun to some people, but for me, that sounds mentally exhausting. You could be the tester for us, probably. Still a physical copy? No, there's no physical. There's only digital for this joint. There's only digitals for these joints. Shout out to Fun for My Life. What if they're not as hard as Elden Ring bosses, though? I'd actually argue that might make it worse. Hear me out. If the bosses are not difficult or like some level of challenge, then you get no sense of satisfaction from it. That's the whole purpose of a boss fight anyway. A boss fight is a test of all the skills that you've learned in the game leading up to that moment. And then you take those skills, they pile on to the next boss fight. If the bosses aren't challenging and it turns out this is nothing but a boss rush, what the fuck is the point of the game then? It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's why I said it's going to be an acquired taste. It's definitely going to be an acquired taste. Yo, shout out to Only Yaks of the sub. Appreciate it. 80 straight millennials, though? Yo, that sounds horrible. I'm not going to lie. That sounds horrible. Like 5 medium mini bosses and then one really hard one would be a good grace. I hope there are like some mobs of like enemies and there's just other stuff to do, like platform and like explore. I hope it's just more than running down a corridor and fighting. The comments are saying every boss is unique. Don't know if that's true. Who gives a fuck what the comments have to say? None of these niggas played this game. Remember, guys, 60% of gamers don't play new games. Play games that are 6 years or older and are free to play. And you mean to tell me these niggas in the comment know that all 80 bosses are unique when game previews only go out to journalists? These niggas don't even play regular games. You think they got the game early? Who gives a fuck what the comments have to say? You talking about the same comment section that told me I was stupid, my opinion on fucking Hellblade 2 was stupid. I don't know anything about gaming. This is one of the best games of the year. And then that article came out and said like 90% of Xbox gamers didn't even play or beat the fucking game. That community? Oh, shit. 6 years or older, LOL. Are those stats real? Do y'all think I be making this stuff up? Maybe I need to have that fucking article on standby. It's real. I made a video about it. Gamers, games 6 years or older. I should fucking bookmark that article, bro. 60% of playtime in 2023 went to 6-year-old or older games. I'm not making this up. Niggas don't play games. And like, that's why I keep bringing this shit up in every fucking conversation that I bring up. Because it started to make sense. It started off as like a joke. You said screenshot. I might have to save this in the screenshot. I'm gonna bookmark this. We might have to have this on standby just in case nobody believes this shit, bro. It's like, it started off as a joke. But then, like, I started to notice things, like people just saying, like, I'll give you an example, right? Freaking, my girl is playing Elden Ring, right? She's playing Shadow of the Erdtree, and she's in the final area right before Radahn. She told me that she's trying to beat Radahn soon, and some of her friends told her it would take like 10 to 15 minutes to get through the final area and then get to Radahn. And like, when people say stuff like that, I'll be like, yo, first of all, I'm like, dial it back. Because I was like, that final area is one of the harder areas in the game. It's like 3 mini bosses and a main boss. I said, Cap, whoever told you that is a fucking liar. They didn't play the game. And she had to see for herself. You said, laugh at what? It was people. It was people. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to blow her spot up. But you know who it was, homeless. So I had to dial it back and let her know, like, yo, don't set your expectations. You're just going to run through this area. I was struggling through that area, bruh. The fuck out of here with this shit. But it's like little stuff like that people will say that, like, it's like little telltale signs. I'm like, yeah, you didn't play the game, bro. Because people be doing that shit in my chat. They be saying stuff. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And then I realized, wait, this article came out in April. I said, oh, it makes sense. Majority of you don't play games. And I don't give a fuck what your reason is. I get it. People are financially struggling, or maybe you're not interested in these games because they seem incomplete. I don't give a fuck what your reason is, whether it's valid or not. The majority of gamers are not playing games, but they sit. You know what I think it is? I think a lot of people are watching like the Rad Brad and other Let's Players. And because they watch that gameplay, they perceive it to be easy, failing to realize that maybe it's edited. So then like, oh yeah, you could just get to this area like in 10 minutes. No. They edited it down to 10 minutes. You didn't play it though. You don't know. I think that's what it is. People are watching Let's Plays and then going and trying to give other people advice. You're just fucking frauds, bro. Fucking frauds, man. Why get Dragon's Dogma 2 for $70 when I can get Red Dead Redemption 2 for $18? You know? I mean, pick your poison. You're either going to fall asleep in the beginning of Red Dead Redemption 2 or the end of Dragon's Dogma 2. Pick your poison, bro. The Mickey Mouse infestation, is that what we call it? Yeah, shout out to Rad Brad. So he's like, is that real? Yes, this is real, bro. Feel free to look. Here's the link to the article. Here's the link to the article. This is why we started checking niggas' achievements. We are achievement checking now. We are on fraud watch. Everybody's an Elden Lord. Nah, according to the achievements, only 30% of y'all beat Millennia. You are not an Elden Lord. People see YouTubers beat Elden Ring bosses on the first try and not realize it's an edited video. I'm saying, bro. I'm saying modern ghost towns, man. Bunch of Celtics players, Mickey Mouses. We checking trophies, man. We checking trophies. Let's get back to this news though. So like now you understand higher power. I'm not joking. When you hear me reference it in a video or on stream, I am referencing that it is a 100% factual stat. And then an even crazier stat, I don't know what the source of it is, but there was an article we read a couple weeks ago. It was a former CEO, I think, of Rockstar or something, where he said that of the 40% of people who are playing new games, which qualify what they qualified as a new game is, which by the way, it's not this year. A new game is 3 years or less. So a 1 to 3 year old game. Of the 40% that are playing new games, he said only like 30% are beating them. So there's still a 70% that are playing of that 40% that are not even beating the game. Shit is crazy. The level of fraudulent that's going on. Add me to that 70% that beat Millennia. I actually packed her up. No. Only 30% beat Millennia. 70% didn't. 30%. Absolutely crazy. I question that stat though, because he didn't give a source on it. It was a CEO of a company, but he didn't give a source on it. But I was like, that's a very interesting stat. That's why achievements are so important. Exactly. I want achievements on Shadow of the Erdtree. Niggas was coming in here while I was fighting Radon talking about you just got to stay behind him. You didn't fight him. That nigga's always moving. How am I going to stay behind him? You just got to heal. You didn't play him because the nigga damn near never lets you heal. You have to play the first phase perfect. What are you talking about? Charge your heavy attacks. You didn't play him. I don't want to hear it. Didn't they say you needed to beat the game again to get the real meaning or some shit? I don't know. Let's talk Smash Bros. Head of Smash Bros. Development Sakurai discusses the benefits of patching games from a developer's perspective. YouTubers make a career out of platining games now, so there's achievement hunters out there. That's been a thing for a while. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate receives a number of updates after it was released, though many of those updates were made alongside character releases. Patch 13.1.1 was a standalone patch that provided the final set of fighter adjustments. Of course, there are many fans that have hoped that the developers would be able to continue supporting the game for about a year or so after the final DLC Combatant Sora was released. In a recent video, Sakurai talked about the benefits of providing these sort of updates. Early on, he noted that it would be ideal if games were perfect upon release, but this isn't really feasible in the modern era considering that games have become, as described by Sakurai himself, 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 times more complex than games from the past. Ultimately, the developers themselves end up having a very little time to actually play the finished games during the window in which a game is ready and before it's released. They don't get a lot of time to do Q&A and testing, basically. They only have enough time to make the game and hope it runs okay. But not enough time fine-tuning and tweaking. Every time a single bug is fixed, the team technically has to double check everything to make sure that there weren't any side effects. Right. Because I mean, you see it. I mean, 2K is a prominent problem with that shit. 2K will drop a patch. It'll fix one thing and break 5 more things. So that's true. Although I just think they're lazy. I don't know about Nintendo though. As a result, the fan base is more likely to identify problems that need addressing than the quality assurance team. This is simply because a game like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate will be shipped to millions of fans around the world. Once this happens, it's typically for a video game depicting the problem is uploaded, which allows the game developers to address the issues in a future update. So we're the testers, pretty much. Finally, Sakurai mentions how balance tweaks and quality of life changes are just an extra bonus that developers can work on while also developing things like DLC fighters. However, from a business perspective, it's generally better to have much of the team move on to another game once a project is shipped. Basically, we need to make more money. I don't agree with what he's saying. Like, I half agree. I understand that like stuff is there's more moving pieces, but I also think a bigger issue compared to the early 2000s, 90s, and 80s gaming is the publishers are much more pushy. Like, we can't underplay that. Like, it's almost like he's trying to push it on the consumer. The consumer wants more than ever, and it's hard to create all this content and balance it all and make sure it's fair. That's true. But let's not also act like the publisher is the publisher's the one that set the date. You need to release it here. It's more of a sticky situation. The truth, I think, is somewhere in the middle. When in reality, I don't understand why these publishers don't give them more time. From a design standpoint, there's just so much going on in the game that it's hard not to break anything. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, isn't that an accurate assumption to make, though? You talking about like it being harder? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's half true, but I also think it's true that the publishers are pushing too much on them too. It's coming all from both sides. The suits want to make a shit ton of money. I mean, think about all these games. Like, think about the finals when it launched, right? The finals had more in the battle pass and inside of its fucking store than it did gameplay. So that might be more true from the Nintendo side of things, but if we look at gaming from a whole, I feel like the suits are more to blame. The finals is always trash. I like the finals for a moment. It just lacked content. It lacked content. Stop releasing a trailer 3 years before it's... Yeah. Don't blame us. You, Nintendo, you the one that put out that Metroid 4 trailer like fucking 10 years ago. Don't get mad at us because we got high expectations. Figure it out. Y'all the ones that announced it. Yeah, the shareholders, the suits, the shareholders, it's all the same shit. It all falls under the same umbrella. What up, Lil Che? Elder Scrolls 6. Been saying publishers and investors are ruining games, and it's why BG3 was so good. Yeah, BG3, they did a lot of testing. They had early access and they took a lot of feedback from the community. It probably goes back to the Harada tweet, businessman runs things, not the devs. Yeah, and I don't know how we get ourselves out of this situation. We reached the point where gaming has gone mainstream. Like, it feels like the 90s and early 2000s was kind of like that golden era of hip hop where people were just making what they wanted, but they still were getting backing from corporations. But then they started making so much money, things changed, and now everybody's stuck in a 360 deal. Like, all these developers are stuck in 360 deals where they got to do what the publisher says, or they can't make their game. They were also working on it for a long time instead of rushing sales. Shit's crazy. Star Wars Outlaws was inspired by Mass Effect 2 story and Assassin's Creed Odyssey's map. This part caught my attention. I said, yep. I said, don't do that, Ubisoft. Don't do that. You setting yourself up for failure. Star Wars Outlaw was inspired by Mass Effect 2. Okay, buddy. I just want to read the Mass Effect part. Where's the Mass Effect part? I don't give a fuck about nothing else. Oh, shit. Let's see. Massive use, Mass Effect 2. When discussing Outlaw's plot, highlighting Kay looked for a team to perform a huge space heist in her plight to remove the Zarek Besh crime syndicate's death mark over her head. They named a popular science fiction game as inspiration, saying, I love Mass Effect 2. It's one of my favorite games. There were so many influences. Cavalli also named another one of my favorite games. There were so many influences. Oh, my bad. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Does he not go into? He doesn't even go into detail. Let me close the stream and come back. There's no spoilers in this, Cammy. So he just said that Mass Effect 2 was a big inspiration, but he doesn't go into detail. I feel like you set yourself up for failure when you do that shit. I need you to explain, how did Mass Effect, how did it fucking influence it, huh? She got a green light on her head. How did it? And then it's Ubisoft. Like, cut it out. You can't make a Mass Effect. Cut it out. Speaking of games that can't be made, Riot reportedly was working on a Smash Bros. Competitor. Riot Games scrapped an unannounced fighter code named Pool Party, disgusting name, in May 2024 after executives became concerned it would struggle to win over consumers. Translation, multiverses ain't doing shit. I don't know if we can. If they don't want Bugs Bunny and fucking Batman, I don't know if they want Master Yi. That's according to a new report from journalist, I don't know how to say your name, Mikhail Kelvinatov, who spoke with the current and former Riot employees familiar with the situation. Project Diddy Party, chill. It's claimed around 70 to 80 staffers were developing the project, which is envisioned as a platform brawler set in the League of Legends universe. The project took some cues from Nintendo's flagship Super Smash Bros. Franchise and was viewed by Riot as a means to bolster its presence in the esports scene. Riot reportedly pitched the title as a hardcore fighter, but eventually shifted the goalpost to incorporate party game mechanics and more casual elements. Those changes reportedly left staff frustrated. Suits ruining everything. Multiverses was a cautionary tale for Pool Party. It's also claimed Riot was concerned about the viability of Pool Party, with executives worried the project might struggle to make an impact. The fluctuating performance of Warner Bros. Yo, I did not read this article beforehand. I was just joking. The fluctuating performance of Warner Bros. IP Splatter Fighter Multiverses, which debuted to strong player counts in early access but struggled to maintain momentum, apparently left Riot leaders questioning whether Pool Party would meet the same fate. Multiverses was eventually delisted ahead of, we know. Sources explained that around half of the Pool Party team were offered a reassignment within the company, while others sought out new positions via the company's internal job board. 10 people reportedly didn't receive an offer and hadn't applied for another role within Riot. It's unclear if those people were laid off or departed voluntarily. That's good that they helped most people find another job. But the question is, would y'all want to see a party brawler from Riot? I would have liked to see the gameplay, but I don't know if this would have worked just because they already have a fighting game coming out. And I know party brawlers are more casual compared to traditional fighters, but I still think they would have cannibalized themselves by putting 2 fighting games in the market, especially when their first fighting game, 2XO, KO, whatever, it's unproven. We don't know if the League of we know fighting game fans will try it out, but we don't know if League fans will try it out. So there's no guarantee if they made a party brawler, they were going to try it either. So they probably were like, let's not use too much of our assets. What up, Love is Rage? This shit sounds like it would hurt 2KX. Yeah, I feel like it would have just split the fan base and they should have just focused on one thing. So it's like, it's understandable. I respect it. I said it. Like, I feel like more of these companies need to take their games out back and shoot them early. Like, if you don't think it's going to work, it's better to cut your losses now instead of later and end up rotting away like fucking Suicide Squad. Why not make a Power Stone party brawler? Who knows? It could have been that type of game. There's no guarantee it would have been like Smash Bros. It could have been like a Power Stone. We wouldn't have known, though, because we never saw the game. I will say that name was disgusting, though. Pool Party. That was not it. I'm not playing Pool Party. I'm good off that. Did they cancel the Riot MMO? I don't know anything about that. Yeah, I think you're right. They thought if they added in League characters, the community would flock to it. Y'all kept asking me about Once Human. I found an article about it. The new survival game Once Humans, EULA, says it might ask for your government ID, and you can guess how well that went. Want to play this game? We need your info. The free-to-play survival shooter is now officially launched, and though it did run into the all too common launch day issues, players are mostly upset with something that has little to do with the game itself. Once Human contains a few terms many players took issue with. The game is developed by Starry Studio, a team within the Chinese publishing giant NetEase, which also published the game. Also spotted by Games Radar, the game's privacy policy seems to be a little too far-reaching compared to those found in most games. Compared to most you found in other games. You have the regular notes about data collection, both for gameplay reasons as well as other data to be used for marketing. As players quickly discovered, however, some of that includes more sensitive user data, such as geolocation, meaning they're going to know where you're at, and could even extend to government-issued IDs. What many players also found alarming was how NetEase may rely on other sources to collect said data, meaning the information doesn't strictly come from playing the game. This is a CCP exclusive. As many of the game's negative reviews on Steam point out, the fact that NetEase is able to collect user data outside the game, such as, why did Steam allow this? Could allow it to build more robust profiles on every player. The data could then be sold to advertisers, never mind the ethical and privacy concerns. Fuck the advertising. People always talk about advertising. What about my ID? I don't want you having my ID and my location. Getting carded in a video game is crazy. Indeed, most of Once Human's negative reviews come from players who barely spent any time playing it, opting to only post a review to bring attention to the issue. I mean, whatever. Some reviews, of course, talk about gameplay, relevant issues, blah, 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 blah. Let me get the point of it. NetEase, oh, they left a statement. The noise was loud enough that the developer issued a statement on the game's official Discord server to address those concerns, particularly clarifying the government ID line, explaining that the information won't be kept on NetEase's servers. Oh, we're just supposed to trust that. Hey, don't worry, guys. That's a problem in itself. So they confirmed it. We're collecting government IDs, but we swear we're not saving them. NetEase takes our users' data privacy very seriously and adheres to the data privacy principles such as data minimization, purpose limitation, and transparency, the developer wrote. For example, we only collect government issue IDs for the following reasons, where the local law requires us to do so, such as for a specific promotion, when the identity of a user's patent must be verified to obtain consent of their child. Man, I don't give a fuck, bro. You ain't getting my shit. 62,000 people responded to a Power World poll. Are people not allowed to like Power World? Yeah, I'm good off. There was another game that was like this. It was like PUBG, but with superpowers. I remember people kept asking me to play it, and I booted it up on stream. And the first thing you did when you booted it up on stream, it asked you for like your personal information. I had to put my phone number in or something like that. I never uninstalled a game so fast in my life. No, I do not want to play your game that bad where I need to put my phone number in. No, thank you. You won't be calling me. Nope. I don't care what you're using it for. And then last but not least, we got some numbers. The top selling PlayStation game in June of 2024 is still an Xbox game. Sea of Thieves is still the top 5 downloaded PS5 games. Other games include GTA 5, Elden Ring, 2K, Sea of Thieves, 2K, Witcher 3, that's random, and then Call of Duty. Roblox would probably be right below it. So yeah, PlayStation niggas, you guys love Xbox games. GTA 5, yeah. There's a reason why they keep putting out GTA content. People are playing that shit. It's over Elden Ring. Isn't that crazy? Further reinforcing, most people do not play. If Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is June's #2 game below Grand Theft Auto 5, Elden Ring? What do you think games like Rise of Ronin and fucking Final Fantasy and other shit, they're like a tier below it in terms of popularity, are doing? Come on now. Y'all think I'm playing. This is why we bring the numbers up. Most people are fraudulent. What Xbox games? That list is too short. Xbox games would be the same thing. It'd probably be Madden, 2K, GTA, Roblox. It'd be the same shit because we had the May numbers. The list was similar. There's not much difference between the lists. That's why I think it's funny when PlayStation niggas brag about exclusives, because the exclusives don't be the top selling games. Both Xbox and PlayStation, the top games are Madden, 2K, Sea of Thieves, Roblox. The only difference is like the positioning of them. You know, one might be 4, one might be 5. An example being this, you see, and the US is 2K for #3, but in the EU is Sea of Thieves. But they still both there. You got to account for the casuals. My niece only plays GTA. Yeah. But in order for Grand Theft Auto 5 to be at the top, that means it's a lot of people that swear they're hardcore, but they're not. I found it funny that in your video that somebody said PlayStation didn't want Starfield, but there's a petition to bring. Oh, they want it. Watch, the day it gets announced, them sales are going to go crazy. Does it mean they're going to like it? I don't know. But the sale, like, people are going to buy it because they want to see Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is bull.